This is a brand new devotional series, and I've titled it Issues with God because everyone I know has issues at some time or another in their life with God and the way that He operates. So I thought, why not tackle them? I think we have like 15. And the first one we're going to start with today is authority. Authority isn't really a word that people like. I'd say that a lot of people even work for themselves because they don't like to work for someone else and be under their authority. And from the time our children are born, one of the first words they learn is no to any directive that an adult gives. So authority is a big deal, and I decided to go back to Genesis 1 again and look at the authority that God had in creation. He had the authority over everything that He created. He separated light from darkness. He had the authority to separate the waters from above from the waters from below. When He spoke to the ground, He gave it authority to produce vegetation. He had the authority to produce life, and He granted the sun and the moon authority to light up the sky at day and at night. He continued to create and have authority over everything that He created. I mean, why shouldn't He? He's the creator. We even agree with that. Writers have authority to their work, and it's protected by copyrights as well as artists. And after all this, in Genesis 2 comes the very first directive from the one in authority to the one that was created, and it was to not eat from that tree in the middle of the garden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And we know that mankind defied God's authority and ate of it, and death entered where there had once only been the scene of life. In chapter 3, it gets really interesting. The serpent knew of God's command, and he quizzes the woman basically on God's authority over her life. Mankind had a choice to receive God's authority or reject it. Basically, that came down to that. Trust what God said to eat and not eat it, or mistrust Him and act according to their own desires. And in verse 4, the serpent tells the woman she won't die if she disobeys God's authority, and that was a direct lie to what God had said. And then we know that he ate, and they defied God's authority in the garden. I am convinced that all of the issues we have with God stem from this authority issue, and that's why we're tackling it first today. The Creator has authority over us, His creation, and He has set before all of us life or death, and life comes through obedience to Him and loving others, and death comes from disobeying and hating others. It's that simple. We can grasp the authority that God has over us and receive life and rest in obedience to Him, even when lies start whispering in our ears that God is a liar, a cheat, and that He's withholding something good from us. The serpent suggested that God wasn't treating this original couple right by withholding something good or something that looked good to them, and they believed it. And that's the root, that's the basis, that's the foundation for most of our issues with God. Surely His no, His silence, His seemingly puzzling ways mean there must be a crack in His character and He's not to be trusted. There's so much meat in the beginning of creation as we establish order in the lives we've been given. God created, He called His creation good, He provided everything His creation needed, and He gave instruction. He is inherently good. His authority is not something to be afraid of or defy, but rather when we look into the skies and see His authority up there and on the earth, the boundaries and the seasons and all things cyclical, we can settle our souls into believing that what He says He means, and no matter what other voices whisper in our ears, we will always trust the one who made us.